Vortex and Barrel Boys. So if you want to update those, we do have a ban coming out of Vortex on Kerrigan, and Barrel Boys is on Stitches.
Yeah, so Kerrigan, of course, McIntyre, very strong Kerrigan player.
Sure.
Stitches,
Yep.
just a strong ban in general. Don't want to deal with him. And just pretty standard stuff now. Garden of Terror, the first pick is, in fact, going to be going to Cloud9. So we'll see what they want to do here. But I don't know if we'll see Arthas. I think it'll probably be Vala Tassadar. That seems to be like who they like to lean to for the first picks.
Yeah. Tychus, I imagine, will probably be the first pick for Cloud9 Vortex here. That seems to be the case. If it doesn't get banned out immediately, the first pick tends to go to Tychus. Seems like a solid way to start this off for them. And then, yeah, Vala Tassadar right after. It seems to be the case. But we'll see. Now, in terms of heroes that are particularly strong on this map, there really aren't any. I would have said like Abathur back in the day, but
yeah,
there doesn't seem to be too many heroes that have very strong.
Mobility is good, so it's nice to have Falstad, because Falstad can be very useful for that. Like you said, Abathur used to be absolutely terrifying on this map.
Yeah.
Heroes that extend later into the late game are good. I'd like to see Hammer played here. I think Idrian's Hammer would be a treat, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Jaina. I think Jaina's very good at lane clear, and cleaning up those seed camps in general is a big part of this map.
That's true.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Jaina pop out. But again, time will tell. Beyond that, in terms of tanks, I mean, with Stitches out, when it comes to this map, I like Muradin a lot. Muradin's mobility on this kind of map can make a big difference. And, well, there's the first pick on Tychus.
Yep.
As you foresaw. Such a seer. Who would have thought?
I know. Crazy idea that they would grab Tychus first.
Someone common.
So, yeah, they decided to go for Tychus first. And they will probably try to match at least that amount of DPS, probably grabbing. I mean, Vala Falstad does. I mean, Vala Tassadar does make perfect sense here. Just very good pickups in terms of damage output. They may try to secure that Arthas too, but we do see, yep, Tassadar Vala.
Tas Vala, yep.
Once again.
Man, we're basically Rhaegar. That far sight.
Will we see Rhaegar again?
You know, Rhaegar had so many clutch Ancestrals, and it came to that last Ancestral that was just barely off from getting off, which could have really turned that fight. Good to see strong Rhaegar play. Once again, I liked the build. The build was definitely geared towards the sustainability and the far sight. Just giving them the vision, giving them a lot of healing. Worked well with double tank. They had such dominating team fights the entire game, and it just took one loss at the boss pit there, and that kind of spelt the name of the game. But I don't know if we'll see Rhaegar. In this map, though.
I think people are definitely sleeping on him, though. The one time I checked, maybe it was like around like 15 or so, he was by far out healing Uther on the other side, Sheth's Uther. So I wouldn't necessarily count him out for the reason that they lost that game. That seems a little bit absurd to make that claim. So we do see the hammer, like you were hoping for. We do have, and the Zeratul.
Okay. So yeah, hammer makes a lot of sense. iDream likes hammer a lot. Hammer is incredibly strong, but Zeratul is really cool here too because of how strong VP can be in every kind of scenario. There's so many choke points, especially near the plant terrors on this map, where you can just drop that VP, completely zone people out, collect the extra seeds. Maybe that makes or breaks, a terror for your team and the enemy team.
And he's just a strong hero, regardless, just because of his zone out capabilities, etc. So.
Ooh, we had a swap. They were debating who's playing who, and they're mixing it up here. Does that mean K1 Pro going to be playing Hammer? That kind of rules out the potential of us seeing a Jaina here, and I guess iDream will be the one opting to play Zeratul.
Yeah, that's because typically we have seen iDream's Hammer in the past.
Yep.
So, and as far as I know, as of last tournament, K1 Pro wasn't able to play Hammer. Maybe he's been practicing her this week. And we'll get to see K1 Pro's Hammer. It might be pretty exciting, which might rule out seeing Jaina. I think that probably is out of the question at this point because they do have Tychus, Hammer, and Zeratul, so they're probably just going to be grabbing a support and a tank for their final picks here. What do we expect to see out of Barrel Boys here? They have two pretty sizable damage, so I imagine we'll probably see them grab their warrior at this point. Yep, there are two warriors. Warrior and an off warrior, if you want to call it that.
Rhaegar is actually a possibility now. We're seeing Arthas and Tyrael picked up. That's a strong front line. They're going to want to grab Falstad with Tyrael, especially... or excuse me. Never mind. I retract that. They don't have a support, so scratch Falstad.
Yeah. They do have the Tasvala. And I guess if you want to... I mean, maybe Tyrael for damage. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of how they engage team fights. Basically, you'll have Tyrael likely diving in on someone. Arthas will be following shortly afterwards to follow up with a Howling Blast in the Frozen Tempest to make sure that Tyrael has a bit of peel. And then basically you're just hoping that your Tassadar with the Archon and Vala can just have enough outright DPS to deal with that. That said, you have people diving in pretty far. Arthas not so much, but the Tyrael, yes. Do you need that ancestral healing? Do you need that huge burst healing? If they don't go Rhaegar, I imagine they're going to go for Uther, just for the burst heal, and the stuns perhaps to get him out.
Uther would be really strong, but I feel like Cloud9's not going to let them have Uther. As much sense as Brightwing does make, okay, we're going to be seeing Liquid Chef's Malfurion. Now, his Malfurion is actually terrifying. He goes a full-on sustained build typically, but we do see him go kind of more the EU style where he does get the increased range on his abilities as well. He obviously can rotate through various things. ETC and Mouth, though, both interesting. Now, ETC, we saw Stage Dive earlier. We thought that might be a reactionary pick to the Nazebo. I don't know that we'll see Stage Dive here, but at the same time, Mosh Pit can only really be interrupted by either Rain of Vengeance on Vala or the Divine Storm and Stun on Uther. So if he manages to at least get Uther, then they're baiting Rain with the Dance, and it could be pretty good. I could see Dance being picked up here.
Yeah, there's absolutely the possibility for it. They did round out, Barrel Boys did, with Uther. So that's, again, just to provide a little bit more CC to make sure that Tyrael stays alive and that they're locking down their targets properly and focus firing. So that's going to be a good chunk of what Barrel Boys' strategy is going into these team fights. Now, for Cloud9 Vortex on the other side, there's a lot more variables in terms of, obviously, they would like to set up situations where they can, you know, dance a bunch of people and get a ton of DPS out that way, considering that they have Uther, Tyrael, and I guess it's just those two that they have to watch out for. It's going to be a little bit difficult to pull dances off, so that's going to be saved probably for quite late in the fight. That said, ETC still has very nice peel and knockbacks available on his base kit. He's pretty tanky.
Yeah. And I like the idea of ETC here with Mouth. I think that there are two heroes that can pair well together, and it's going to be cool to see. I mean, ETC, 2 weeks ago we said we're never going to see him, but ever since this match,
I know, right?
We've been starting to see use out of him through all different kinds of teams, and he's been getting some really good play. So I'm excited to see what they can do with it. Obviously, with Tyrael and Arthas being picked up and Stitches not being available, their options are pretty much ETC and maybe Muradin, and I think ETC is probably the better pick here. So should be a cool game. Garden of Terror, Game 3 between Cloud9 Vortex and Barrel Boys.
Yes, game number 3 on Garden of Terror. Very exciting. If you guys didn't check out that last game, shame on you. You have to catch the VODs because that was a good one. But let's get right into introducing the teams on the blue side. For Cloud9 Vortex, we have C9 Sheth playing Malfurion. Rarjar is going to be on Tychus. Bobby Hank Hill on ETC. iGen will be playing Zeratul. And K1 Pro on the brand new Sergeant Hammer. Let's go.
Yes. Well, on the other side of the map, we have Trumbull playing as Sassanar. McIntyre is going to be playing as Tyrael. Blinks is going to be on Uther. Curse Fury sitting there on Arthas. And Fan will be playing as Vala. Both teams here on Garden of Terror. And, of course, five members running down mid there. In actual, is that Mighty Ducks formation? What's it called? Flying Duck? They were.
I'm just looking at Jake with a blank face here. That's your references are completely lost upon me. Maybe chat has some semblance of an idea of what you're getting at. I have no clue.
You never watched the Mighty Ducks?
I've seen the Mighty Ducks. Is that something that you reference pretty? I've never heard it.
Listen, it's a snowy day here in New England, and I'm going to be watching the Mighty Ducks as soon as this tournament's over.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to force you to join me.
Okay.
I dream back up there, you know, the 3-member mid lane here, you know, just Blink sitting there with his beautiful axe, whacking away as a beautiful lumberjack with his logbook, riding a pleb pony though. I'm not really a fan of the pony here. Cameron Pro gets hit by the Howling Blast. McIntyre hitting away, but just the peel there from Bobby Hale just knocking him on back. Of course, Face Melt, very strong for disengaging, and he does have Guitar Solo as well, strong for disengaging. So he's a very powerful hero in that sense.
So we do have the 3-1-1 style laning going for both teams here with a heavy presence in the top lane. This should give us a little bit of time to talk about some of the talents that have been picked up, most notably for Cloud9 Vortex. We do have Zeratul that has picked up Block. And this is something we saw last tournament, and it seems to be picking up quite a bit more steam, and that's a double root going down on 2 of the members of Vortex.
And the positioning here from McIntyre being in the back, trying to zone them out like this is huge. They're making Chef their primary target. They're not getting him. Bobby Hankill is taking a lot of damage, and he is definitely going to fall here. But as I say that, he knocks multiple people back, and Chef's heal is not going to be enough. iDream blinking backwards, and Chef going to be able to just fall back a little bit as well. So much damage taken, but at the same time, we had 2 members fall on the side here.
Wow.
I guess iDream did that? I don't know. I missed that entirely.
I think, yeah, it was mid lane. I want to say that somebody was picked up there. We do have a little bit of pressure going down. iDream should be able to blink out. Yep.
And Chef, they're getting blinks down low. Bobby Hankill is going to be chasing Trouble, who's just about 1 hit away on the top side. We can see, does he get out? The heals, are they there? No, but the root from Curse Spirit is going to get Trouble out of that. Blinks is so low as well. iDream gets the last hit. Now Blinks is going to be in his ghost form, and they're going to be able to chase out the members of Cloud9, but with Bobby Hankill in the front line, zoning pretty well. You can't zone a ghost, though.
Cannot zone the ghost. Yeah, and we were talking about this right at the end of the last game. You know, we're seeing a very aggressive Cloud9 Vortex here, and you're right. They're on that, like, they're so excited. Like, that last game was so epic, and like, they're just like, let's go, go, go. And they're running in, and they already have this, like, almost full-level lead going into level 5, 6 here, which should give them the good edge getting that level 7 talents before Barrel Boys.
Right now, we see these seeds being picked up here. Currently, a seed advantage for Barrel Boys, but with the ETC going in the back line, kind of zoning, blinks out a little bit here. He's in a tough spot, but the Howling Blast does a lot. 5 members here are available for Barrel Boys, and that's going to be Cloud9 backing up. But at the same time, Cloud9 is got this top lane under siege, soak happening, and the level advantage is going to keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with that Sergeant Hammer going top lane uncontested. If they don't rotate up there right away, they are going to get that tower. And that's good. I mean, he's well aware of the map presence. That's why you see him sieging up there. He wouldn't be doing that unless he had a complete idea of where the entire enemy team was, which he saw a bunch of them were mid. So he said, okay, you know, you get that extra damage versus structures. It's a good idea.
We see Tyrael looking for Rarjar here. Rarjar has Fan and Tyrael, but iDream is here as well. 2v2 in this bottom lane. Fan taking a lot of damage. Zeratul going in. He uses Blink to get forward. Singularity Spikes, nothing even needed as he gets him with the Q there, blowing him up. Currently, 4 kills to 1 in favor of Cloud9, but the seed count slightly in favor.
Yeah, quite a few overextensions on Barrel Boys' part there. They're looking for cheeky pickups to try and get themselves back into this early game, and they're just finding situations where, oh, we didn't expect Zeratul to be there, and he just blinks forward, picks up a bunch of kills. So iDream's been doing a really nice job just making sure he's in the right place at the right time whenever Barrel Boys is trying to get these picks, essentially. We do have level 7 for Cloud9 Vortex here. We do see the extra enduring regrowth here. That's going to give them quite a bit more heal potential. K1 Pro potentially a little bit of trouble here. He's extended a little bit too far forward. That is 5 members in there. Probably will be able to pick him up. Some body blocking going in. Yes.
Yes. Oh! The heal is there at the last second. K1 Pro has no right being alive right there. A nice play.
Wow, that was some combination of first aid, the heal from Malfurion. He's got that enduring regrowth too, so that's extra heal overtime. And he's going to be back to full before we know it.
At the same time, though, we do have Cloud9 across the map, making sure they soak pretty well. Is this enough? I think if they get every seed from this, they actually do.
Yeah, they will have exactly 100 seeds, so they need to make sure that they zone out perfectly here.
And they're doing just that. ETC comes in from the backside.
99!
They pick up the 1 seed that they need. Fan is low. McIntyre is low. Fan looks like he's going to lose his life here. Oh.
Yeah, the Tiger should be able to chase far forward enough. Didn't pick up the range at level 4. So
he has a dash. Oh, the vault is
wow.
there at the same time.
Had he had the range at level 4, he would have been able to grab that kill for sure. But he opted to go for a Melting Point, which is the extra damage versus structures and minions. Help him a little bit for that wave clear, so you're making the trade. Curse Fairy a little bit far forward. It shouldn't be picked off here. But, I mean, we see Vortex in a really, really nice spot moving forward.
Right.
They were able to deny that terror. Had they, gotten the 100 seeds there, I think that you could say that, yeah, Barrel Boys would be in a pretty decent spot here. But as it is, they're down 2 levels.
Yep.
And basically, as soon as they grab that, just a little bit of extra experience to get to that level 10, they're going to be in a really good spot, and they can get very aggressive. If they want to take their knights, they can. So we'll have to see what type of plays that they try to capitalize on this level advantage.
Yeah, so looking at Chef's build here, he's the support for Cloud9 Vortex, playing Malfurion. He's going the absolute maximum amount of sustain build. full-on healing, just a ridiculous amount of healing available. Everything else looking pretty standard. ETC going for groupies. Also, that's healing for your party when he uses his abilities.
That's actually a little bit different than we usually see with the ETC builds. More often than not, they've been going for that extra, the auto attack reset at level 7, and he gets the Echo Pedal, which is that pulsing damage. So it's just like a lot of AoE damage coming out of ETC normally. But this one is a little bit more focused on making sure that he gets that mosh pit up very frequently, has a pretty high cooldown,
right,
and the battle momentum to help sustain that. So I guess they're really planning on getting some pretty sick mosh pits. I'm looking forward to see it because there's a lot of stuff on the other team, especially when you consider Tyrael and Uther can deal with it fair enough. Did he grab Cleanse, Uther? He didn't. He went Clairvoyance.
He didn't. That's very interesting. Now,
I mean, that basically will give any hero a 1 second opportunity to get in to deal with Dance. It could be himself if he wanted to. He could cleanse himself, walk in, and then stun him. So, yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go Cleanse, especially, I mean, ETC has a ton of slows and knockbacks available to his kit.
Picking up these offensive giants here is going to be Cloud9. Now, Heroics haven't picked up Divine Storm, Archon, Army of the Dead. We do have Judgment in the last Heroic is being determined right now.
Vala is still debating whether to go Strafe or Rain of Vengeance here. I mean, you have to sort of just look at the knockbacks. I would definitely go for Rain of Vengeance here. I think it would be a mistake to grab Strafe when you consider how much AoE knockback ETC has.
And the mosh pit. I mean, they need that
interrupt. Yeah, of course.
They need that interrupt.
That's like another huge point, too. And I'm surprised it's even taking them this long to make this decision. They could be arguing about it right now, like what the better choice is here. But I think it's pretty clear that Rain, you have to grab it.
Maybe they don't want to show it until they have to at that last possible moment. It could be a reactionary pick. It's not hard to just grab it on the fly and then use the ability instantaneously. Yeah. And I guess there's... Okay, so we see Strafe, actually.
I think that's a mistake. I really do. I can't agree with that. I mean, for the reasons that we talked about just now. But I just foresee every team fight where that Strafe is up, it's going to get interrupted so fast.
Both teams pushed across the map and then hearthed back to defend. Some weird stuff happening here. Knight in just 13 more seconds, 1 seed away, so there's pretty much a guaranteed plant terror on the side of Barrel Boys.
For both, honestly. They're going to be able to grab one of their camps, which is a free 15 seeds, and then just 4 more anywhere else. Like, there's no way that Cloud9 Vortex isn't going to be able to get the terror themselves. Now, what teams decide to do with this terror, like how long do they wait? Do they try to pick up as many seeds as possible before going back to grab those that terror? We'll have to see. And it looks as though both teams are going to be splitting, grabbing seeds here, with Cloud9 Vortex grabbing this bottom one, and Barrel Boys grabbing the top one. One thing we should note is that it is now possible to interrupt the Garden Terror monsters here. As soon as he's charging up that slam, if you have something with a quick interrupt on your side of the team, you can. I guess in this case it would be Uther, and then for the bottom side, Hammer or Tychus is a lot of options for Vortex. But
big story right now, though, is the level advantage here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to be level 14 in just a moment. We can take a look at the talents here. We can see we have Relentless. We do have Lead Rain.
Lead the Rain.
Shrink Ray, Wormhole, and of course the Bullhead Mines. And still another full level away from getting more talents here. Terror has spawned for both teams, and they're marching across the map.
I actually like what they're doing, Vortex, by the way. They're pushing out the bottom lane. They're guaranteeing that fort. And if Barrel Boys had tried to counter pressure the mid lane, which is where they were pretty much gathered up, the Terror was right there to just sort of counteract that pressure. So that worked out pretty well for them. I think it was a good call to go down and just capitalize on this bottom fort here.
Now we can see Cloud9 on the aggression. They're going to be using this Terror. Barrel Boys will be using this Terror defensively as they pretty much have to. Rock'em, sock'em, smack, smack, smack fights. And we see the first, little plant going down.
Little plant. I like the positioning there for the polymorph. Is that what it's called? I don't even remember the name of it. It's basically a polymorph.
It's Queen's Curse.
Oh my gosh, I will never remember that.
Queen's Curse and Overgrowth.
Essentially, it's a ranged polymorph that has a bit of an AoE in the ground. It pulses 3 times. But he puts it right in front of the gate, and it's the exact radius of the gate, so it's hard for the enemy team to poke out to try and defend. And you see him, he's placing the plant that basically goes out, shuts down the towers, and does a lot of structural damage. It's hard for the enemy team to push forward to try and shut that down. Just requires a couple auto attacks, but if you can't move out of your gate, you're not going to be able to do that.
One thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see iDream or someone kind of somewhere else in the map, as they know that they kind of can get a little bit cheeky with defending stuff like that. But I guess just making sure they get the maximum use out of this Terror while the enemy team is getting nothing done. I mean,
5 seconds left for pretty much both these Terrors here. We're going to see them canceling, just getting a little bit of damage in.
Relentless picked up, again, multi-shot build here for Vala, but a big initiation going down on Bobby and Kill. He dives in, he's going to try to dance, he gets interrupted instantaneously. Divine Storm goes down, Strafe doing a lot of work. We saw the Judgment go in as well. The healing coming out of Sheth, keeping them alive, but Rarjar is going to be completely separated from his team. Can they get him out of here? The Castle's Hide says, no, you're going down. They're going to try to take Fan with them, but no, that's a two-man pickup, and they're not done yet because McIntyre's in the front line and iDream in the back line. But actually, no, they're actually going to be able to get out of this.
All I have to say about that team fight is that was kind of what I was expecting to happen. They were putting a lot of faith into ETC to pick up that dance. He was actually in a pretty good position for it. You can actually kind of see the startup of dance, and as long as Uther's nearby, there's a good bit of range on that Hammer of Justice. You can see the startup for it, and Hammer of Justice comes out very fast. You can stun it out. And he's got to wait another 10 seconds before that even happened. He died. So I would definitely still give Barrel Boys a huge advantage in terms of team fights.
Yep.
That said, structurally, things look great for Vortex here. They've already got all 3 forts down. The wall at the bottom keep is down. So they're probably, I would probably try to recommend a way for them to just try and take map presence and try to avoid team fights, because I just don't see, or at least don't put any faith into that dance in terms of how you approach that fight.
I feel like you have to save the dance. I feel like you can't even initiate
save
with the dance,
the last
which is
dance.
what you want to
Slade.
I know that's what you want to do. You want to initiate with the dance, but I feel like it needs to be more of a reactionary, almost like an interrupt. And then they're just sitting there waiting and watching. When's he going to use dance? When is he going to use dance? It's almost like the threat that exists, and they have to consider it. But right now, Barrel Boys really cleaned up the seeds. That's going to be a terror available for them, and there should be a terror as they pick up these seeds. One more camp plus 1 seed from this guy is going to be enough for their terror. Yep. And we're just going to see both teams playing passively, just kind of splitting the seeds on each side of the map.
Yep. Another thing to consider, too, is if you're in dance and you don't pick up the Vala, that's a strafe that's you can't do anything about. Like they really need ETC. They have some options with Grenade and Hammer as well, but like you really are sort of relying on ETC to deal with that strafe. And since they grabbed it, it's like, okay, she's probably going to be in the back line, hard to get in that dance. So you really want to keep ETC not stuck in the dance animation so that he can knock that strafe out.
Well, we could see all the members here of Barrel Boys rotating around the back, making sure they're safe. Giants were picked up. Terror has been summoned by Barrel Boys, but it has not been picked up on the side of Cloud9. They know they have 5 members here aggressively. It looks like Bobby Hankill is going to be the one hearthing back to grab that terror.
I like that a lot, actually. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially considering all of the counters that exist for ETC on the other side of the map. You may as well put him in. And if a team fight happens around him and there's a couple people left over, he pops out of the terror and does the dance. I think that's really good. That's a good way to approach this. We do see that the terror is going top lane to clear up the camps that are pressuring for Vortex, and then it looks as though Barrel Boys will be definitely taking this bottom fort.
Now, Barrel Boys can see that the terror is in the middle of the map. They know that they're completely safe to push right now because they can see this icon that we see here. That's the only member that they know definitely where they are, but they know it's a 4v5. But as the terror is coming down, they're starting to get a little bit more passive, and they're just rotating up to this middle fort to put the aggression on there.
Yep, like you said, yeah, they're going to be doing some more plant rock'em sock'em fights here, perhaps. It looks as though Barrel Boys is actually playing very cautiously. They're not really trying to engage here.
I think they know they have the better team fight with ETC out of that plant terror, so they don't want to risk anything. They're just actually falling back here. They're going to say, all right, we'll fight when you're out of that thing. But we do get the Queen's Curse there on Blinks, and he's going to be able to heal up and fall right on back. I'm so proud. I know a new ability name. We see the Queen's Curse going down again, zoning like you said earlier. Overgrowth doing a lot of work on these towers, and Bobby's saying, screw this, I'm going to go work this bottom.
We're going back to the bottom lane here, finishing what we started. And I'm actually surprised at how much they were able to back up Barrel Boys here. I mean, they do have Tyrael inside, so that's sort of their front line as well. I mean, they do have Arcus outside as well, but jeez.
A lot of damage going down. One terror has fallen. Since Cloud9 grabbed the terror a bit later, it does have another 10 seconds available on it. Its health is very low, but if you can continue to aggress with it, you might as well here. Going to be falling 5 more seconds, getting it really up in there. iDream is getting super low, and he doesn't actually manage to blink back because they chain stun him very well. Rarjar is going to be backing up the offensive dimensional shift here after popping Archon out of trouble. And those mines just kind of having him dance around a little bit. More mines there to help zone, and they're just going to be in full-on retreat as they don't have his arrow tool. Chef in a terrible position. He's going to fall here. 2 for none is it for Barrel Boys, and the levels are pretty much almost normalized here. Not even a level down.
That was, I mean, basically Barrel Boys started that fight off just by completely eliminating iDream out of that, and then just really nice chases going from that point forward. So they were able to pick up that 2 for nothing. And, you know, I thought maybe that fight would have been good for Vortex because they did use a lot of their anti-dance abilities on making sure that they eliminated iDream. But I mean, of course, you're looking at a 4v5 situation. Do you really want to go in there and try to get that dance? Do you have the DPS anymore to deal with it? So, yeah, I can understand why they backed up, and it's just unfortunate for Vortex.
Really confident play fighting this 3v5. They only have a 1-level lead, so it's not like something they can take easily. Bobby's in a really bad spot. The cast side puts him right in. Strafe goes down. I mean, there's no Malfurion here still. Void Prism is used to keep them alive, and with the Void Prism, they should be backing up here. Don't get too cheeky. Make sure you stay alive. But Void Prism and Odin were both used, and not a lot has been done with it.
I'm not really sure why the Odin's even staying around here. I mean, I guess you try to make the best of the situation because you popped it, but like you
shut this here now though. They bought time. They stopped the Giants from being picked up, and they forced them back. Prove me wrong. Well done by Cloud9 because they kept their Merc camps with 2 members down, and that's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's true. They were able to keep the Merc camps, but now Barrel Boys knows that they have a timing window with no Odin to deal with.
They did pop Army of the Dead during that.
Okay.
So
I think I would trade Army of the Dead for Odin, though.
Yeah, that's true. And you're talking Odin and Void Prison versus Army of the Dead and Strafe, which will be up in 10 seconds. Battle Momentum is available on Vala, I believe. Yes, of course it is. So that's pretty much negligible. I mean, Strafe will be available.
Yep.
But this is a rough spot here. It is going to be an initiation going on. Bobby in the front line, not using Dance just yet. He knows it's a risky play. He's going to save it for that last possible second. Where is it? Dodging the stop of the Terror. Judgment goes in. The heal, but not enough. He gets eliminated. Divine Storm hitting 2 members there of Cloud9. The root means nothing to Arthas when he has Relentless. And iDream getting blown up as well.
Yeah, the shielding, and they had so much sustain available for Curse Fairy here. And, I mean, you saw it. There was a lot of opportunities where ETC could have grabbed 3 or 4 people, but he knows that the dance is going to get interrupted almost instantaneously. I feel like that takes away so much of the capability of ETC, and it's like his effectiveness in the team fight. Yes, he can provide a little bit of peel, but I mean, if he basically has no heroic, is he worth even having there in the first place? So I'm trying to think of how they can adjust their team fight. They sort of have to do a very good job of isolating someone. I think that's the only way. But making the picks with ETC that's tough. The range on his dash isn't that good. It's gonna be difficult moving forward for Vortex, I would say.
Well, we got some more Terra and Terra action, and like you said, it's going to be tough here. The level advantage has changed hands for the first time in this game, as there's a slight lead.
Yeah.
Level 19. Now, the race to 20 is going to be a big part of the story for the next engagement. But as this Plant Terror is available, and Cloud9 is just 4 seats away, they're going to be denied that, and another Terror is available after this.
That's going to point to, I would say, for sure, at least one of those keeps is going down. Probably 2.
Oh, yeah.
And including that mid fort as well. This is going to be a lot of push here. They do have that level advantage. They're that much closer to hitting level 20, and that includes increased range on the Judgment. That's another 50% range on an already really scary dive attack. There's extra sustain for Arthas coming in. Blink for Vala. Tassadar gets the extra range on his Archon. Like, they're going to hit a huge power spike at level 20, and they're not going to get there. Vortex isn't going to get there before Barrel Boys, so they do have a huge advantage.
And we're about 20 minutes in, so these Terrors hit incredibly hard.
They do.
Level 19 has been achieved, so it's normalized in that sense. But like you said, with these keeps falling and these towers falling, that 20 advantage is definitely going to be in favor of Barrel Boys here. And they're just trying to zone out. We see the Hammer just setting up a lot of mines here, waiting for that Arthas to engage. Howling Blast has been used, so this allows for a little bit of aggression here, and they're really doing a good job blowing up that Terror. And again, remember, another Terror will be ready soon after this fight ends.
Yeah, so you see that they're not getting too aggressive with it because they know they don't have to push this advantage too hard.
Actually, he abandons it. He says, look, we don't need it.
That's fine. He's considerably slower inside of it than he would be outside. Jeez.
It's a tense point for both teams because it comes down to very little at this point in time. Either team loses or wins a fight here, and it can just really swing out. And it looks like they just kind of want to wait for their next Terror to be available. They're just going to kind of fall back, grab some
take these camps. Yep, that's absolutely the right play to make here. No need to get aggressive until you have that tower to push out with. They will say that said, Vortex did a pretty good job defending that. They didn't overcommit to anything that was outside, and they were able to keep that even though there was a ton of pressure coming from Barrel Boys on that. That was majority of the focus from that Garden Terror, and they did essentially nothing with it. So props to Vortex for that. But coming down the pipeline, Garden Terror number 2.
Yeah, this is the problem here because, I mean, they did a good amount of damage. While that keep is still in a healthy position, they took out the whole wall in the towers. It's a lot of experience inherently with that as well. Picking up the Merc camps, they started that just before the terror spawn. That way they know they can get the Knights pressuring in the top lane as well, and that's going to signal them to go on the other direction on the map. Zeratul actually thought this might be the case, and he's just sitting here as a kind of a ward, waiting to see what's happening.
Just getting that soak too.
Yeah.
Because they really, really want to hit that level 20. As soon as that is up, we can talk about what talents each team grabbed. Just have it here. We do have that increased range, extra Army of the Dead minions, Blink for Vala, extra range on that Divine Storm, and the extra range and duration on that Archon. All of those things that we predicted. We have triple Blink from Malfurion, ETC. Okay, that's going to give him a little bit more utility in terms of where he can get to for dancing and peeling, etc. We do have the extra range on that Napalm strike and the big red button on the Odin.
Yeah. So, but this Terror with full health just getting a little bit more cheeky this time. They don't have to be so scared because they got through the wall already. They do take out the first keep of the game there. And this is going to signal a response out of Cloud9. They need to push them back. They need to get as much damage done to that Terror, weaken it. It's still got 45 seconds left on its life.
But they have to be so careful doing it, though, because if they lose you know, 2 people, even maybe 1 person, they might be able to push in super, super hard and actually just end the game, especially with how hard that Terror hits. So they have to repel, but do it in a very, very careful way. And we do have the siege back up. Even though there's a Terror available, of course, they should be able to clean up a majority. But absolutely, Vortex will be able to pick up enough seeds somewhere to get the Terror themselves.
Now, Bobby taking a decent amount of damage. That Terror smacking away. 18 seconds left on it. You know, we just see Barrel Boys not getting too greedy. This entire game, they're playing incredibly fastly. iDream caught a little bit out of position, but he's able to bolt the Storm out of there, but the stun goes off, using Dance to get him out. That's a nice use of Dance. He took some good damage for it from Fan, but it's going to be just about all right. We see Tranquility going off here, trying to keep them alive. Chef had to pop that early. There's the Odin, and here's the turnaround. The Void Prism is used, but they didn't really get it. They just kind of used it defensively. It wasn't really a setup for anything. Even though Odin was off, they're reposturing and setting up both teams in a really decent position. An offensive bolt to the Storm by Bobby Hankill, but he doesn't really get anyone knocked back too far out of position. Trummel is low, but the healing from Uther is there.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the Odin to pop, and once that's down, I imagine they're just going to turn around and start laying down the pressure here.
Trying to find someone. Blink's coming in and taking a lot of damage from the Zeratul, and ETC going in. Odin's got to be just about out of time. There it goes, collapsing, but so many members are very low on the side of Barrel Boys, so it's actually not a terrible positioning here for Cloud9. Oh, McIntyre, very low shrink rate hits him. Crum will take a lot of damage. Judgment goes in onto Bobby and Kill. Does Chef have the heals? No, he does not. Divine Hurricane hitting a lot of people there, and 2 members have fallen on the side of Cloud9. This turn, they tapped the well, they turned around. Rajar is going to fall as well here, and that's exactly what they needed. Just falling back and tapping the wall, getting the mana and health.
That's exactly. They were just waiting for that Odin to get off, and like once they knew that it was no longer a threat, they can go in, they can dive in. They know that Dance has a very long cooldown. He wasn't able to auto-attack enough stuff on the way over to get the battle momentum to bring that down. So they had at least 2 heroics there. They were able to dive in and make a ton of kills. It was absolutely the right play to make there, just to be passive enough to not do it. And they're probably going to push in on the core here.
Yes, they want to end the game. They've got another 30 seconds here. The root will delay them a bit, but how much does it matter in the end? We'll find out here. K1 Pro and Chef have a tall order to try to defend this base. They're being ignored entirely. All the damage going out 24 minutes into the game onto this core, falling. It's at 75%, 60% as it's just trickling down so fast. And Barrel Boys upset.
Yeah, that was, I mean, they picked, the problem is they grabbed ETC after Tyrael was available. And we've seen this in the past where teams will grab ETC and it's just, they know that there's a lot. I mean, Uther was picked up afterwards, that's fine, but there was just there was a lot of things that were available to Barrel Boys to deal with the mosh pit. And how many times did mosh pit come out to make an impact in any of the team fights? It saved Zeratul once.
That was it. I mean, it really got no use.
Yeah.
At that point, stage dive would have been more useful.
It at least slows the rest of the team,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do about it except try to get out of the way. But yeah, I think a lot of that did come down to, not to say that Bobby Hankill didn't play ETC well, but it's just sort of where he fits in the meta. This is why we haven't seen him too much, is because there's just a lot of things available to shut down that dance.
I mean we didn't even see Rain of Vengeance there. It wasn't even needed. The Judgment and just the Uther 9 times out of 10 was able to take care of it, but if Judgment was needed, that was there too. Very well played by both teams. It was an exciting game for sure. I mean, we saw Cloud9 in the advantageous position for the most of the game, but that was turned around and just really defensive, non-aggressive play when they had to be. I mean, they would back up,
yeah, they
back
picked the
up
right
for the
times
terror,
to
and
stay
just
patient.
defend, and then played really patiently. They didn't get over-aggressive with their terrors. They did enough, but without overcommitting. Well played by Barrel Boys, and they'll be advancing in our bracket here. Let's take a look at that. Barrel Boys will be advancing to face. Let's see if we have a bracket update for that.
Murlocs Inc. did advance 2-0 over Evil Geniuses, and Cloud9 Maelstrom did advance over ESV Wildfire. And after that, it looks as though Symbiote has 2-0'd Cloud9 Maelstrom.
Yes, so again, stream, I know a lot of you wanted to see that. Apologies for not casting them today. Typically, we would like to have 2 streams so we can cover all those games. Didn't happen today as our secondary stream had some issues. So Maelstrom did fall 2-0 to the new Titanic team of Symbiote. With
Titanic.
They're a beast of a team right now. They really, not that they weren't before, but man, you throw Glowering in the mix and they're just terrifying. But on that note, that means Barrel Boys and Murloc Sinks, that's going to be our next cast here.
Yes, absolutely. So I think we're going to go to a bit of a commercial break here, and we'll be back in just a few to bring that game to you guys.